Okay, that's on now. I can see
Okay.
that recording now. So,
All right. Okay.
yeah.
So I'll go back to screen sharing. Happy, Tony?
Mm-hmm.
You can see that screen now? It shows academic responsibility.
Yes.
Okay. And for some reason now I am somehow stuck, doesn't want to go to the next, oh, there we go. So in terms of the learning outcomes for this unit, the focus is on the shoulder girdle, upper limbs, and the cervical spine. You'll have presentations around mechanisms of injury, and then again, a systematic approach in terms of the evaluation of those images for the different body regions. And the main focus is related to trauma, but also common conditions like arthritic conditions, but not just arthritic, other conditions as well. And then you have in RAD5108, we introduce you to some of the statistics around sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy, and you will be applying that in this unit. We, of course, hope at the end of this unit, of the conclusion of that, that you'll be able to identify major features related to the different body regions, and also to be able to communicate and provide an opinion on the images as well. Now, I've given you a link at the bottom to the handbook entry, so that if you've forgotten anything around the assessments or the learning outcomes, if you click on that link, it will take you to the handbook entry. But just at this point, you would have, in last semester, you would have known that we would have produced a unit guide, and that unit guide had a lot of the information captured in that one document. However, the university has moved away from the unit guide now, so we are populating the Moodle site with that information. So we won't have unit guides from here onward. So the resources, as you know, you will have access to that from the Moodle site. And similar to what we've done with 4502, we will be releasing the timetable on a week-by-week basis. So it's important that you consult the timetable that is already available, so that you can actually see what we are doing, because in the timetable, I've also put in all of the assessments and which of the weeks it will take place. There's a number of electronic resources available. One of that is the image interpretation manual, but there's also going to be recorded presentations. And then I've given you a link to the reading list, which is also available on the Moodle site, and that includes the ebooks. And similar to what we did in first semester, with some of those, we will link it directly to the page where, say, for example, if you need to do something about the spine, it will take you directly to the spine. And this is the reading list, so you can see all of the ebooks that are available for this unit. So there will be 4 assessments. You'll be undertaking an ISAP case. Now, you did have an ISAP case for RAD4502. So it's going to be very similar to that way that it is done. You'll have a clinical action plan, and then you will receive the expert report, which you then need to compare to the clinical action plan and provide a comparative report. And that is the first assessment that will be coming up. So that will be the 11th of September for the CAP, and on the 18th of September for the CR report. All the online exams will be done at the end of the year during the university's formal exam period. So the first exam will be on the 16th of November, and the second one will be on the 23rd of November. And similar to what we have done in semester 1, we will be using the responder software, the monitoring software. So you have been used to using that. So we'll be employing that again for the assessments. But something that is new for most of you, not all of you, is the production of a medical imaging portfolio. And that is the last assessment that's due on the 4th of December. And all of these assessments are hurdles, which means you need to pass each of those at the minimum of 50% to be able to pass the unit. If, for example, you do one of the online exams and you fail it at first instance, you'll get another opportunity to undertake a similar exam. Have you got any questions around the assessments? All good so far? Okay, so the computer-based exam, there will be 2 of those, and both of them will be 1 hour in length, and the weighting together makes up 50%, so each one is 25%. As you are aware, all of those resources will sit on the Moodle site, and most of them are presented within a Moodle book. So for the this unit, I will be introducing you to the software. You did use the software for the ISAP case in semester 1, but I am going to use it now to produce a number of practice cases during some of the weeks, and then I'll be using that software as well. With the software, I think you are aware that you can access it from any device. So even if it's an Apple or whatever, you can use it then. And I will encourage you to use the software because in the exam, I will now be using the software. The first exam will include a mixture of imaging cases. So the imaging cases will also have the software so that you can go in and manipulate the images, zoom in, change the windowing and things like that. But there will also be a number of multiple choice questions. And test 1 will focus on the fingers, the hand, the wrist, and the cervical spine. And the test 2 will be the forearm, the elbow, the humerus, and the shoulder. I've already mentioned the image manipulation software. And similar to what I've done in semester 1, about a week or 2 before the time, I'll be emailing all of you to say the exam is taking place during this week. Can you please let me know what date will suit you? And what I think what worked best, I think Tony will also agree, is that we release the exam from 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so that some of you might prefer to do it during normal working hours or even after hours, that you can undertake the exam and it will be available for 8 hours. What it means, if it's a 1 hour exam, the latest time that you can start will be 7 p.m. in the evening. And then of course you access the exam from the assessment taskbar on Moodle. For the ISAP case, the overall weighting for that is 25%. And this time the case will be related to the cervical spine. I don't know, Tony, if you maybe want to just give a little bit of intro to that, because that's the case that you've been working on primarily.
I don't want to give anything away at this point, but I guess it's a case that happened here where I work in Tari, and it's a chap that injured his neck. The story you'll read in the in the scenario for the ISAP case, so I won't go through that, but it'll have the story and it'll have some images, and there is some correlative imaging with it as well, in the sense that this guy actually went on and had a CT scan. So you'll actually, you won't be asked too many questions about the CT, but just clarifies what's going on in the plane radiographs, I think. Any questions about that? No, you can't wait, can you? I knew it.
So we'll be releasing that Moodle book on the 17th of August. So in 2 weeks' time, we will release the whole scenario and what you need to do. And then as with first semester, once you submit your TAP, which is on the 11th of September, once that deadline is reached, and if you have submitted the TAP report, you will then get the expert report, which you of course need to contrast and compare to your own. And then a week later, you'll be submitting the comparative report, which will be on the 18th of September. So in terms of the clinical portfolio, and I'll go through the Moodle book that I've prepared. I'll go on the Moodle site. You might not have seen it maybe if you didn't look this afternoon. But the clinical portfolio, the overall weighting is 25%. You should include a minimum of 15 clinical cases, and each of those cases has a word count of 100 words, and it's a plus minus word count. It's just that we don't want you to write long sections, so keep it very short and very specific to the case. And then in your these cases, you need to include the spine, the shoulder girdle, and the upper limbs, and include both normal and abnormal cases. And you can provide references to support any discussion. So there's two parts to the clinical portfolio. So the one is the clinical cases, and the second part is to produce a self-auditing preliminary image evaluation record. And for that, you then work out the sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy, and reflect on some of your own personal abilities in terms of the PIE. So in summary, you have worked through 4502. RAD5108 is very much dedicated now to the imaging side of the spine and, let me just go back again, of the spine and the shoulder and the upper limb, whereas RAD4502 was more the general foundations that was covered. So as always, I'm going to stop sharing now. As always, if you have got any issues with anything that we deliver in that unit, you can contact either myself or Tony.